Hello guys, welcome back once again to your channel most probably called as the Wiz Power. And I don't want to lag the today video guys because it is going to be a lost video. So when coming to the yesterday video, I was told about the Suns point guard, and also yesterday one of our users removed Doncic and and make a team, and his team scored 270 points. It is easy to win the it is easy to win the SL as well as the mini GL. So please do, my request is please do watch the video fully and note down each and every point guys. And also here in this video I'm going to tell you about the as usual the peripheral and theoretical stats, but I am adding you the newly floor and seal points guys, which means the minimum and maximum points of each and every player. So and also the next upcoming video is going to be about the GL combos. So let me start our video guys. So Spurs versus Judge. I'm going to be start the first match. Spurs versus Judge. Dream11 prediction Nostra Pro. Nostra Pro means in the sense I'm going to provide the Nostra Pro Dream11 teams also. So when coming to the Spurs in the last 5 matches against sorry, it is not against not a Spurs guys. It is against I think it is against Raptors. In the against Raptors, Van Vliet scored 43 fantasy points. Lowry scores 27 fantasy points. So from these two guys, we can consider that Spurs has little bit struggled against shooting guard, because Van Vliet is a shooting guard and Lowry is a point guard. So Spurs little bit struggled against shooting guard, but they can have a ability to defend the point guard. So when coming to the Gasol, center scored 30 fantasy points. From this point where I am considering that if opponent have a big center player, then he can score minimum 30 fantasy points. Anunoby, small forward, scored 26.5 fantasy points. Siakam, power forward, scored 50 fantasy points. From these two, we can consider that Spurs are weak against power forward. So remember these points, guys. Spurs are weak against which position and strong against which position. So Spurs are weak against shooting guard as well as the weak against the power forward. Small forward can give you up to 25 to 30 fantasy points against Spurs. I mean against Spurs versus Judge small forward and power forward can give you minimum 30 to 45 fantasy points. When coming to Spurs versus Suns, Booker scored 52 fantasy points and Rubio scored 15 fantasy points. From these two, once again we can consider Spurs are struggling in defending against the shooting guards, but they can have ability to defend the point guard, because Rubio scored just 15 fantasy points, but Booker scored 52 fantasy points. Obre and Saric. Obre small forward scored 42 fantasy points. Power forward from Saric scored 27 fantasy points. Here in this, Obre is from small forward position and he is a strong player and scored 42 fantasy points, and even Sari scored 25 fantasy points. From these two we can consider that Spurs can give you minimum 25 fantasy points to power forward player. If small forward player from opponent, I mean small forward player from Judge is strong, means then you have to pick him definitely guys. When coming to the center position, Item scored just 28 fantasy points. Item from Suns and Gasol from Gasol in the sense first match, and the item from the item from the Suns scored are held under 30 fantasy points guys. Remember this point. We can consider that center can give you maximum of 35 fantasy points, but Item and Gasol are defended by Aldrich, but now Spurs are traded the Aldrich to another team. So maybe that the center from the opponent in the sense Judge team has a great chance to score 35 to 45 fantasy points guys. When coming to the against Pelicans, Spurs versus Pelicans. In the Pelicans, Paul scored 47 fantasy points. Holiday scored 26 fantasy points, guys. So what I have told you the before, guys, Spurs are weak against shooting guard and a little bit strong against point guard. But here in the sense, Ball scored 47 fantasy points. Holiday scored just for 26 fantasy points. Yes, Spurs defended shooting guard once again, and they didn't defend the point guard. The reason behind that is Ball is a great player who can give you points in every expert in the sense guys, he can grab a rebound, he can make a assist, he can steal a ball, he can block a shot. So from these four aspects he can give you points. So that only Ball score 47 fantasy points. In that fantasy points, 18 points comes from the assists only, and also 12 points comes from the steals only. So from that two accepts only he can score 30 fantasy points guys. When coming to the small forward, Ingram scored 29 fantasy points, Williamson scored 29 fantasy points. Here again, small forward can give you 30 to 35 fantasy points. That's it. That means opponents, Spurs versus Judge. Judge is their opponent. In the Judge, small forward guys can give you minimum 30 fantasy points for tomorrow's game. Remember this point, guys. Against Heat, Heat is strong in all positions, mainly in guards. Butler, small forward, again scored 37 fantasy points. Center scored 53 fantasy points. None shooting guard scored 31 fantasy points. Robinson scored 25 fantasy points. Again, here we can score. We can catch a point, notify one point that they are weak against shooting guard. Again, once again, against Hawks. I have told you that if a point guard is strong, means you have to pick him definitely, because against Hawks, Angus scored 53 fantasy points. The reason is a strong player. Huerter and Reddish are shooting guards. They scored 27 45 fantasy points. Again, from this we can consider that Spurs are weak in defending the shooting guards. Remember, guys, remember this point. Spurs are weak in defending the shooting guards. When coming to the Jazz stats, Jazz versus Houston Rockets have uploaded in the Instagram stories also. So in that stories, I have told that Jazz are strong in guard section. They are weak in power forward section. They are strong in point guard section. Remember this point. They are strong in point guard section. When we combine these two, I mean Spurs strong position versus Jazz strong position, and Spurs weak position versus Jazz weak position. Spurs are strong in defending point guards. Even Jazz is also strong in defending the point guards, guys. So from these two, we can consider that Jazz is the stronger than Spurs. Remember this point. Jazz is the stronger than Spurs in defending the point guards. When coming to the last head-to-head match from the Jazz team, Mitchell scored point guard. He's a point guard, scored 44 fantasy points. Gobert scored 45 fantasy points against center and Mitchell point guard. So Spurs are weak against point guard. Spurs are weak in defending the Mitchell. Remember this point. From the Spurs team, DeRozan small forward scored 31 fantasy points. See, guys, I have told you that Jazz are weak in power. They are weak in forward position. That is nothing but a small forward as well as the power forward. DeRozan scored 31 fantasy points and Poeltl scored 23 fantasy points in 23 minutes. So these are the last head-to-head matches, guys. So in this video, I'm going to cover the floor and ceiling points. What do you mean by floor and ceiling points, guys? I mean that floor in the sense the player which he can give you minimum fantasy points. For suppose for tomorrow's game, DeRozan can give you minimum 20 fantasy points. That is nothing but a floor points. When coming to the ceiling points, it is nothing but a DeRozan can give you maximum up to maximum points. That is nothing but a ceiling points. So when coming to the Spurs again, in the last 5 matches, DeRozan scored 36 points, 14 points, 13 points, 20 points, 18 points. And this in that points in the last 5 matches. These are the last 5 match stats, guys. Minimum points are 14. You can score 14 into 1 in the sense DREAM11 can give you 1 for the field goal. I mean for 1 for the point itself. Maximum points is 36 into 1, 36. Rebounds in the last 5 matches, DeRozan grabbed 10 rebounds, 6, 8, 5, 9, and minimum rebounds is 5 into 1.2 in the sense DREAM11 can give you 1.2 points to grab a rebound. So 5 into 1.2, 6. And maximum rebounds is 10 into 1.2, 12. Assist. In the last 5 matches, DeRozan assisted 3, 7, 4, 1, 8. And minimum assists are 1. And DREAM11 can give you 1.5 points for the assist, for an assist. So maximum assists are 8 into 1.5, 12. And coming to the steals, 0, 0, 1, 1, 3. Minimum steals are 0. 0 into 3 in the sense DREAM11 can give you 3 points for making a steal, and maximum steals the DeRozan score in the last 5 matches is 3. So minimum points scored by the DeRozan are 14 plus 6 plus 1.5 plus 0. 14 plus 6 plus 1.5 equal 21 fantasy points. From this, I am concerned that DeRozan can give you minimum 21 fantasy points for tomorrow's game, guys. Remember this point. This is a very important concept in the basketball, because DeRozan can give you minimum 21 fantasy points. In the next upcoming video, I will tell you the GL combos and the how to make a balanced team with these floor and ceiling points, guys. So maximum in the sense ceiling points. Ceiling points are 36 plus 12 plus 12 plus 9, 69 fantasy points. That means DRozan can score up to 69 fantasy points. Maximum of maximum 69 fantasy points. Like that, when coming to the DVA, guys, DVA in the sense defense versus archetype. This means the opponent of DRozan can give you the maximum points to DRozan. Okay, guys, tomorrow, for suppose DRozan opponent is Bogdanovic, so Bogdanovic can give you that fantasy points up to 27 fantasy points. This 27 fantasy points can be considered according to their last 22 matches itself. So don't be think about this one. I will cover in the next upcoming video also. When coming to the Murray, see points 2, 13, 6, 13, 10. Minimum is 2 points and maximum is 13 points. When coming to the assist, he has assisted 4, 2, 2, 2, 4, and minimum is 2 and maximum is 4. Steals 0, 1, 0, 1, 4. Minimum 0 and maximum 4 steals. Rebounds 3, 6, 5, 5, 2. Guys, remember these are the last 5 matches which they have played. That's it. And minimum fantasy points are 2. Minimum is 2 into 1, 2, plus 2 into 1.5, 3, plus 0 into 3, 0, plus 2 into 1.2 equal to 2.4. So maximum it can give you 7.5, 7.4 points. That means that Murray can give you minimum 7.4 points for tomorrow's games against Judge. And maximum points are 13 into 1, 13, plus 4 into 1.5, 6, plus 12 in 4 into 3, 12, 5 into 1.2 is 6. So 37. So for tomorrow's game, it can give you maximum 37 fantasy points, guys. When coming to the DVA, Murray opponent is Mitchell. I can give you Mitchell up to 18.5 fantasy points. That means that Murray is well defended against Mitchell. Mitchell can be defended easily Murray. So its DVA is 2 less. Remember one thing. For suppose if a player DVA is 2 less means don't pick him, guys. Remember this point. If a person DVA is 2 less, so from that one don't pick him. When coming to the white, see guys, points 0, 14, 13, 12, 25, like that. And minimum fantasy points are 9.5 fantasy points and maximum is 50.5 fantasy points. That means minimum in the sense 0 into 1, 0, plus 2 into 1.5, 3, plus 2 into 1.2, 2.4, 5.4, plus 3, 8.4, plus 1, 9.5 points. And maximum is 25, 25 plus 7 into 1.5, 10.5, 35.5, plus 3 into 1.2, 3.6. Like that, it can give you maximum points of up to 50.5 fantasy points. When coming to the DVA is 22.6, guys. He is coming from the bench and his opponent is not accurate. So we cannot predict who is going to be defend against white. So his DVA is 24.5. This can be considered in the last 5 matches only. Bogdanovic versus DRozan. Minimum fantasy points scored by Bogdanovic is 13.3 in the last 5 matches and maximum is 53.57. So his DVA is 7.5. That means DRozan can allow Bogdanovic to score up to 17 fantasy points, guys. His DVA is 2 less. So when a person is having a 2 less DVA, so don't pick him. When coming to the Poitel and Gobert, see, minimum 7.8 points he can score, 7.8 fantasy points he can score, a maximum he can score 30.5 credits against Gobert. His DVA is 25 fantasy points. Poitel can give you 25 fantasy points against Gobert for tomorrow's game. Ingles versus Forbes. Ingles versus Forbes in the sense Poitel versus Gobert and Bogdanovic, DRozan in the sense those both are defending against with each other, guys. Ingles is defending against Forbes and O'Neal versus Trey Lyles. So minimum for minimum fantasy points can score for tomorrow's game is 14.5, 14.6, and maximum fantasy points scored by O'Neal is 36.1 and its DVA is 23.5. Clarkson DVA is high, guys. See, that means his opponent is weak in defending against Clarkson, but its minimum points is just 8.6. Maximum fantasy points can give you up to 41.5 fantasy points. Mills Mills minimum fantasy points can give you for tomorrow is 7.5, and maximum fantasy points he can give you is 37. So is DVS too high, guys? Remember this point. Is DVS too high? Clarkson and Mills DVS too high. So you can pick both of them. Both are the allied players if the opponent is weak in defending against them. So I have told you the entire topic too quickly, guys, because it is going to be a lost video. So that only I have told you the entire video within a just which is held under 10 minutes only. So it is going to be more minutes to capture the video. So I will post another video for combos in the sense GL combos. Thank you, guys. Thank you once again by watching my video. So please watch the video fully and note down each and every point. If you like the video, means please hit the like button, and also please click on the subscribe, click on the bell icon for notifying you in the upcoming videos. And if you like us, please, it's my humble request, please subscribe my channel and share it to your friends, guys. Thanks a lot.